Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Truth of Transformation podcast. And today we've got a really fascinating transformation story. It's Rob Zietler, all the way from St. Louis, who trains at an amazing facility, which I'll be cueing you guys in a little bit more to after the show and some insights on that. So Rob, first, welcome to the show, man.
Great, thank you.
Hey, so first off, let's just hear your story, kind of where you started and your journey with weight loss and health and where you're at now.
Well, I guess do a little intro of kind of like who I am. I'm a dad of three boys. I'm married to my wife. Actually, it'll be 20 years next week. We met in college. And, my boys are, I have twins that are 18. And then I have my missing triplet, I'll call him, and he's 14. So very busy lives and so forth. I have, been through basically various gyms and so forth, just like most people. The big box gyms was the big thing, the price drew me in, and I would go a few times a week and so forth. And, I had some trainers and, just kind of went along the flow and nothing really was impactful. I ended up moving I guess we're in our third home, but the second home, and got away from the gym for a while. It's just with everything when you have kids, especially when you have two at the same time, and you just find these excuses and so forth. Work, of course, gets to be an excuse, and then the extracurricular activities. But it wasn't until probably about 5 years ago, my wife and I, we've been up and down with just various things in our weight. And she just got to a point where she was kind of done with just the same routine. And I guess I could mention the gym Evolve. There was a local gym. It was kind of different that I saw. I had done a few classes there that just dropped in. I said, you should really check this out. I had not committed at the time. It was just me making up excuses. And she joined, loved it. And I really did not join until probably at least 6 months later.
Wow.
He just kept talking to me about how different it was. And I was ignoring her for the most part from that. So,
husbands, man, why are we so difficult? We take so long to conform.
Exactly. So she committed to that gym first, and so I said, you know what, fine, I'll come and check it out, and that's where it started. And I think that, what year is this? 2019. I want to say. I think it was 2015 when I joined.
Cool.
That's about right. So I don't know how basically I got in there, and the first thing that was different was, I think it was Doug. I'm not real sure who it was, but they gave me this notebook, and they said, okay, you're going to start journaling, like your workouts. And I just paused, and I'm like, what? And I had never, back in the day, I wasn't journaling at all. And I'm like, you're serious, right? And they said, well, yeah, you have to see how you progress. And, that was, I guess, the first step towards the change, because for the first time, I just wasn't going in there blindly. Yeah, I had trainers in the past, but they never held me accountable. And so when I basically started that, it was such a wake-up call on where I was at, and I wasn't happy with it. So it just increased, from there. The weight still kind of fluctuated, but my workouts were there. And I just hit a spot. I had the workouts, pretty much down. I went from not going at all, until I joined Evolve, to I'm kind of a little obsessive with it, where it's if I don't go at least 4 times a week, I just feel horrible. But I had hit basically a point. I'm like, I don't understand. I'm working out, my weight's kind of, I dropped a little bit, but they said, well, what do you eat? And I said, well, and this and that. I was making excuses, I mean, it was like, well, I had this, I had that. And, I'm trying to watch the calories and, it's the typical stuff. And, I did those little bad things here and there. And Doug said something to me interesting. He said, it's not counting the calories. It's what you are eating. He says, tell me what you are eating. And I basically, I think it was for like a week, I just literally wrote down on a piece of paper what I was eating. And he, said, here's what, you need to look at and change one thing. He said, if you change one thing, give it a week and see how you feel. And so after I looked at what I wrote down for that week, it was the sugar.
Wow.
And he said, take a week and lower that, down to like, and I can't remember the number. It was something like, I think less than 20 grams or something like that. And in that 1 week, I dropped, I probably close to, 10 pounds. It was crazy.
That's amazing.
I increased the water.
Found your catalyst.
Yeah, I increased the water and all that. But, so that sparked me to watch what I was eating rather than counting it per se on the whole calories and so forth. So I was just more aware of it. And that started, back in 2000 and let's say, 17, and, that's, I've just been more aware of just the little things. And so I took that 1 week and then I turned it into 2 weeks. And then I turned it into 3 and I turned it into 4, just from that one thing he suggested. And it's just been a part of my daily, weekly, monthly thing, and do I fall off the wagon a little bit? Yeah, I'm human. But it's always in the forefront of my mind. So, that's basically what the trigger was right there, was what I was eating. And that worked for me. I don't know how it would work for others. He has implemented some challenges, where, I kind of would fall off the bandwagon a little bit. Not that I spiked up, but, he's like, hey, let's do a 30-day challenge, and it's basically the gym, whoever wants to get involved with it.
Sure.
So having that support group and making those little changes has helped me keep it off. And so at the peak of my weight, I was at 239 pounds. I'm 6 foot tall. And today I'm at 208.
It's great, man. Yeah, for a 6 foot guy, anywhere between like 190 and 215 is usually a sweet spot when you're working out and carrying some lean muscle mass, like as far as what we kind of generally look at aesthetics wise these days. So that's awesome. Huge congrats to you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's not like it's I stopped. It's it's continuing it. It's a continuous process, and it's having that support group around. So.
Yeah, no, I think the support group is huge, and I know that's the last main piece you touched on. But what I was really taken away from all of it is kind of, you resisted on each piece initially, and even the working out part with your wife kind of leading the forefront there, and then resisted a little bit on the nutrition piece. But then once you actually brought some awareness to it, and you actually then assessed where you were at. So you mentioned the journal for looking at your actual training progress, and then writing down what you're eating. And it was kind of like, it was always there. You just were kind of avoiding looking at it, avoiding kind of facing reality, so to speak. And once you assessed it, then it was clear as day for you that that was a motivating piece, because then you saw kind of the trajectory, and then you reassessed, it sounds like, week over week with one small thing. You talked a lot about, awareness, little changes. You kind of assessed, reassessed, and then you were able to progress. But it really sounds like that momentum, it took a while, and then the moment you assessed something and actually brought light to it and saw what it was, that's where momentum took off, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, no, totally, it's true. Yeah,
and that's really, really cool.
And bringing in the awareness of just what I was eating has, bled into our family as well. We cook much better and so forth. And do we have pizza every once in a while? Yeah, we do, but we don't.
As you should, man. As you should.
We don't gorge ourselves, and and it's so it's a balance that you have to find. But the first, and people can get there, and I'm not done. I'm not done in doing what I'm doing, but it's a consistent process. But you have to start small, because if people jump in and just like at the beginning of the year going, I'm not eating this, I'm not eating that, and that's where the crash starts. It starts from that beginning, but you don't see it until a few weeks later. You've got to have the small steps, and you have to have that support side. Surround yourself with people that bring out the best version of yourself. And that's what Evolve has done for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And thinking about that, what did you have to do to kind of, when you're surrounding yourself with people that are going to keep you motivated, keep you feeling like you're progressing and support you. Support was your biggest word that you used multiple times. But did you have anyone that was kind of trying to pull you back, and maybe for their own reasons of feeling insecure with where they're at? But that seems to be a challenge for a lot of people when they're going on this. They can find a really supportive, amazing gym like Evolve, and make things happen. But then they've got work life, and they've got home life, and they've got friends. You talked so much about support. So what did you kind of do to mitigate those other pieces more mentally than anything else?
Great question. If you have that, if you have that home life where and that, I think for a lot of people will pause and, my spouse or my girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever, and I've got 3 kids, and you have to find that outlet. And if it's not at home, then talk to somebody from the gym. If it's not the gym, talk to a friend of yours. You have to be accountable. I need you there. I want you to check in with me and ask me, what did I eat today? Or hey, at the end of the week, I want you to send me a text message and say, hey, how much sugary things did you have? How many did you have your goal of no more than 20 grams today? It's those little things that if you don't have that at home, or you don't have that gym, you find somebody. And everybody has somebody in that scenario. And all it is a quick check-in, but it's holding yourself accountable. So, I have a sister-in-law who her journey has been incredible, and she doesn't go to a gym, but she has somebody that she found that she checks in with, and she's been telling her story on Facebook. To make a long story short, she had several miscarriages, and she had gained a lot of weight from the stress and so forth, and she eventually had twins, and they're 4 years old now. One is autistic, so she has a lot of challenges with him, but she did not want that to be this motivator, I guess. And she basically took a workout bench, an old one that she found at, I don't know if it's Craigslist, garage sale, somewhere, and a few weights. And she found a group on Facebook. And again, no gym, just she found somebody to hold her accountable. She's lost over 75 pounds in the last year and a half.
Wow.
And it's her diet, she says, it's the consistent pictures of her old self. So that's what works for her. But what we both have talked about, the connection, even though she's not at Evolve and I am, she found somebody to hold herself accountable. And I have somebody or a group that's holding myself accountable. Find that person and just work something out with them. They don't have to be a trainer, but you've got to find somebody that it really, truly is going to support you and hold you accountable. So I guess that's my answer to what you just said. You have to.
That was a beautiful answer. What I've seen from most people and just all the conversations I continue to be able to have with experts and wonderful transformation stories like yourself, and then hearing this one about your sister-in-law dropping the 75 pounds is, we all have this level of knowing what we need to do or should do. And but then we can eventually shift into this place of doing. And that's where the accountability matters so much, because it's easy to fall out of the doing. And then once we've done enough of the doing, then it comes to a place where we can step into just being. And it's just an embodiment of all that we know because we've done it so much, which is what sounds like you've been able to do with your workouts, where you mentioned earlier, man, if I don't get 4 times a week, I just feel off.
I do, yeah.
It's just a part of who you are. So I'm excited. Some stats show that if you work out 3 times a week consistently for 18 months, then you've mastered into that stage of being when it comes to fitness. It's just a part of all that you can be. It's going to be with you forever. You may slip up here and there or have an injury that pulls you back in different life scenarios, but yeah, it's getting through that doing stage with the accountability, like you mentioned, in order to get there. So that's really great that both of you have found that in different ways. And I'm glad you're encouraging people to find that for themselves to make sure that they don't slip back. So that sounds like it was a great accomplishment for you. So a couple other questions. What do you feel has been the biggest obstacle for you in the last 3 years? I mean, you talked about kind of facing the excuses with, family work and kids and all of this kind of stuff. But there's a lot of potential obstacles that can come up. So I'm just curious, was there one big one that kind of surfaced along the way for you, or anything that you kind of repeatedly have to face in order to prioritize yourself and continue to move in the direction? Like you said, your journey is never done. I don't feel like any of us have a journey. So I'm just curious if there's an obstacle that you've worked through.
Oh, yeah. That's a good question. What one obstacle? And I've had a couple. I definitely have had my obstacles, and they more have been situations. Where, for instance, I'm in St. Louis, so we're a big Cardinals nation out here, and this is just more of an event that got in the way of things, and I was trying to think of an excuse, but I had bought all-inclusive tickets. I always take my family to an all-inclusive baseball game, right? So, it's all you can eat, it's all you can drink, and all this stuff, and I bought them a few months before, and I had every intention, I'm going to limit myself to no more than 2 beers. I'm going to make sure I do fine. Again, it's you got to have your little vices every once in a while. And then I decided to join a challenge that month that Doug decided to put on with Evolve, where it was no this, no that, no alcohol for the month. And I just sat there and I'm like, I already bought these tickets.
The universe's way of honoring what you truly want in spite of what you may crave in the time being.
And so it was, I ended up doing it. So, it was a month of various things, and alcohol, abstaining from alcohol was one of them, you know, and, I went there and, had my lovely Diet Pepsi and water and, didn't have my breads or anything like that, and ate sensibly with what was there and so forth. And there was no sweets in this whole thing, so that was interesting. With the dessert bar right next to, where I was at. But, at the end of the whole thing, I did it. And my point in bringing that up was one thing, life happens. And life is going to give you these events. And you can just say, screw it, I'm going to do it. But you have to just adapt in the way that you aren't going to just crash, right? At the end of the whole 30-day thing, I ended up, I had my couple beers and I had this, and, I lost some more weight from that challenge. And, I did go and have that stuff that I couldn't have at that time, but I'm still here today. I still have my weight that's down. I've been at this weight for probably over a year now, and I'm still not done. But what obstacle is? I don't think for me it was one obstacle. I think the obstacle for me is life is going to throw you these things, and you can ignore it and give in, or you can adapt and just, you move on. I didn't work this hard to just give in at this one event, and I'm going to be invited to weddings, or I'm going to be invited to certain events, and these things are going to happen. But you get right back on it, and you have that support side that asks you, how was the weekend? Well, I screwed up. I fell off the bandwagon, and I'm like, all right, it's Monday, get back up on it, And, I just think if you face your challenges, these events head on, and know they're going to happen, and you have a plan, like, here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to get past it, you're going to feel so much better about yourself because you'll know what to do when it happens again. So it's learning from those things and building upon them as part of your daily life. It's just not going to stop. So I don't know if that answers the question, but that's what works for me.
Yeah, no, it totally does. Just mostly just explaining the fact that it's a journey, and the moment we set out to change anything, especially major, like, fitness, health, nutrition, weight, that we're going to be tested immediately, probably on exactly what we say that we want. And that's what you had to go through. And that's seems what life tends to be for all of us, is a series of tests. And it's just how we show up and, continue to gain strength from how we show up. And then the key word there you used was then adapt. And whether it was conscious or subconscious, I mean, you used, spot on nutrition periodization, where you went from a place of refraining a little bit to, set some metrics and set some objectives. And then you had a little bit of a diet break, which can be really good for the mind and the body. And then you dive back in, and you've got your tribe. So it's really well said. So I know you've mentioned so many different positive things, from little changes to assessing, to being aware, to adapting, to gaining momentum. I mean, I could go on, to tracking, all of these key things. But what do you think is probably the number one thing that someone on the other side of this podcast, maybe especially another guy who's been married 20 years and 3 kids and work and has all of these things going on, and sitting right where you used to be 4 years ago, what do you think that person most just needs to do? Final parting words.
Don't wait. Don't wait another day to make a change. Life, it's a cliche, but life is too short. You may think, oh, I'll start this then, I'll start that then. You can make these changes, no matter how busy your life is. Change one thing that you can do on your own. If you don't have that support person, you can change. If you're a soda drinker, go a week and make that week into 2 weeks. Change, and if you got past the 2 weeks, go into 3 weeks. Change something that you have a vice on that you just, go without. Try it for a week and see how you are. Because that first step towards something small just compounds, because you will see the results. And that's just where it starts. Don't take on the world with it, because that's where, for me, that's what I used to look at it, and I would fail. I would take too much on. Change one thing and do it for a week, and then you get that week done, then turn it into 2, then turn it into 3, and next thing you know, you have a habit. It's a good habit.
Beautiful. Don't wait. Do it for a week. Don't take on the world. Do one thing. So well said, my friend. So well said. So, Rob, I greatly appreciate you coming on the show and just, sharing your journey with us, and excited to see as you continue on. And for those listening, we'll definitely put Doug Schleich's information and his studio, Evolve Personal Fitness, and also his amazing academy for other dads called Fit Dad Academy. We'll put all that in the show notes and link you guys up as well. So until then, Coach Joseph Hawthorne signing off from Truth of Transformation Podcast, and peace be the journey. All right, my friends, thanks again for listening to another great episode. Now, I do have one request. If you know of someone that's got a amazing success story, or if you know of a transformational coach or transformation authority figure with insights and lessons that need to be shared, we'd love to talk to any of these people. There's a good chance we can have them on one of the next episodes, and they continue to help us all grow as we continue to unveil the truth of what it takes to truly transform. Last thing, love for you to head on over to iTunes and hit that 5-star review button. Helps to get this message out and continue to transform more lives. As always, my friends, Coach Joseph Hawthorne, peace be the journey.